Hey yo, what it doing? Let's get welcome back to another episode of Bounce News. This time we got something a little bit different, bringing back the movie reviews. I had to do it for this one for Across the Spider-Verse, man. But for this one, we'll make it different. It's gonna be spoiler free and the spoiler version. I'm gonna put them both in one go. First half's gonna be spoiler free, and second half's gonna be with all the juicy spoilers type shit. So, without any further ado, let's jump into it. I'm already done here. Have your thought back. Alright, so for the spoiler-free version, we're going to be doing that bit in the first half, like I obviously said. I'm going to put this into 3 different sections. The animation, the characters, and the soundtrack. So we're going to obviously start with the animation. The animation, as always, is fucking peak. The jump and improvement is just wild. Like, you can steadily see how it keeps on getting better and better and better. Especially when you get to those chase sequences. Oh my god, bro. When they were showing that chase sequence of like Miguel going up against Miles, like when they're trying to get up on that train thing. Ooh, bro, like that just looks so clean. Then like all the action of all the Spider-Men and women just trying to like tunnel to get to this dude Miles. It's just insane, bro. Like, but then like it also does good animation, which is like almost like those chill vibes. Like when like Miles and like Gwen, they're just swinging around, they're just vibing, just doing what they gotta do type shit. And also just the vibe in New York, just the set pieces, the way that the set pieces be looking in certain spots in New York, it just brings life to those spots. It just brings life to the place. Like you can like tell like, oh, this is truly what New York feels like. This is truly what New York is supposed to look like type shit. Like, and that's valid. Alright, for the next part we're going to talk about is going to be like characters / voice acting. I'm not going to lie. 2099's voice actor just went bonkers in this shit, bro. I could mainly talk about what everybody else did, but like Miles and Gwen and the rest of them, like they were all good. Don't get me wrong, but oh man, I gotta talk about 2099. You can hear the urgency and the emotion in his voice when it comes to these certain moments. When he has to be on some real shit, when he's gotta like put all the chips down and he's gotta let you know what's up. You can hear the urgency. You can hear how he's just trying to get right to business, no Terry business type shit. And like Miguel is truly testing the ethics and the morals that all the Spider-Man must follow in this film. And I'm going to cover that in the spoiler version, so stay tuned for that. And I just feel like all the new Spider-Man who are arrived and they came through, they all play their roles truly to a T. And they feel like they all serve a purpose. And they don't just feel like gag one-off characters. Like, they actually feel they serve a purpose. Like the Indian Spider-Man, Peter Porker, like they all feel like they serve like a real purpose. But when Ben Reilly came through, like they all feel like they're here for a reason. They're contributing to the plot. That's the biggest thing I can say from that. They're contributing to the plot. They're not just saying some funny shit. Like, be like, hey, yo, I'm going to swing my way over to your girl's house. Like, hey, yo, I gave her some of my webbing last night. Like, no, they're just not doing no bullshit. They're contributing to the story, contributing to the plot, and it just makes sense. And I'll rock with that. All right, and the last thing I'm going to cover in the spoiler-free version, I'm going to be talking about the soundtrack. I'm not going to lie. Metro Boomin, as always, he always goes ridiculous on soundtracks. He always goes ridiculous when it comes to shit in general. But Into the Spider-Verse, like, franchise, they always have Sway Lee going dummy on a track, and that'd be the most definitive track from the movie. Like, Into Spider-Verse was Sunflower, and this one I feel like is Colin. Like, oh my god, bro. Sway Lee just knows how to make a catchy hook that just gets stuck up in your head, man. Like, Jesus Christ, man. But let me get off of Sway Lee and let me talk about something else. Just like the rest of the soundtrack itself, it just gives off like this New York vibe with a modern twist to it. And what I'm trying to say about that is that it gives tribute to like New York rap, but at the same time it gives a modernized sound to it. Like, you can feel like the vibe of like when it's being chill, when it's being mellow, and then when it picks up the pace, you can feel like when the pace is getting picked up and you got to get like more in depth with it. And then when it calms down and mellows down, you just like on some vibey type shit, you know what I mean? So even though I'm kind of upset that like I think I saw something where Metro Boomin's soundtrack album for this thing is like not gonna sell as much in the first few weeks, and it might not live up to the hype of what Into the Spider-Verse was able to contribute. But at the same time, it's a phenomenal soundtrack regardless. And Metro Boomin did what he can do, And I feel like it's a solid soundtrack for Across the Spider-Verse. I can't wait to see what happens in the next one. Oh, man. If Sway Lee comes back for a third time and he just does it again, oh, bro. Like, it's just, I can't wait, bro. But this soundtrack was fire, 100% though. Alright, so that's going to be the end of the spoiler-free version. I appreciate everyone who came through and came to watch that. Y'all can leave now, but if y'all peeped it, this is for y'all. This is spoiler version. I appreciate y'all for watching. But here we go. Let's get into the spoilers now. First thing I'm going to talk about is the plot. And basically this picks up where Into Spider-Verse left off, where, you know, everyone went back to their own dimensions, and then 2099 trying to hunt them down, trying to see what's going on. But at the same time, that's not really that's just what's established from the ending of there. What's established in the beginning of the film is that Miles is still trying to like get his shit together because he's only been Spider-Man for the past year and a half, or like a year and 4 months. And at the same time, he's already looking at trying to go to college, even though he's a freaking sophomore. I find that wild. But he's still trying to do that while managing a life of being Spider-Man, right? And of course, you know, that's cool. It's all hand and dandy. But then he ends up going up against a villain called the Spot that he ended up creating because it Into the Spider-Verse, in that scene where him and Peter, they're like grabbing like the information from Malcolm X, where he throws a fucking bagel at some scientist. Apparently, he ends up becoming the villain of this movie. It's this dude named the Spot. And he has like all like these powers where he can like throw like spots and like orbs at you. And then when he puts one on the ground, he can put his arm there, and then he can put this here, and there, that, and the third. And apparently he's like a world-renowned Spider-Man villain. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a big Spider-Man fan, and I didn't even know that. So that's wild. But while all that's going down, and the subplot, Gwen is trying to see Miles once again. And that's what's going down because she feels alone, and like she feels the only person that relates to her is Miles type shit. And Miles feels the same way because in his fucking his book, he's over here writing drawing drawings about drawing drawings. That's kind of crazy, right? Drawing drawings about Gwen. So you can already tell there's a little bit of a romance being put in there. And meanwhile, while they're trying to reconnect, 2099 assists her with a threat with the Vulture in her timeline, right? And then soon she gets the offer to join the Spider Society. And then while Miles and Gwen, they link up and they get some like coming around time, what ends up happening is Miles ends up following Gwen. Like Gwen like investigates what's going on with the Spot. And then Miles like follows her to go back to that dimension to see like, hey yo, what's going on? Like, hey yo, this is a big threat. Let me go try and help out. And Miles ends up finding out like, hey yo, Gwen's with this whole group with 2099 and like Ben Reilly and all these people, right? And he wants to go join the group. And then when he ends up meeting with Miguel, the problem is that Miles is like, hey, I want to join the group. And then Miguel like rejects the idea. And the reason why he rejects it is because he's black. But Miguel, what's wrong with me being black? What's the problem? Listen here, Miles. I don't know how to say this. You're just different from the rest of us. Look at how I look, and look at how the rest of us look. You were never meant to be Spider-Man. You do not fit the criteria, and you never will. But I have all these cool powers, like I have the electricity, I can go invisible, like I'm like really cool, like I just want to be a part of the Spider Crew. Listen here, my Negro from another amigo. You were never meant to be one of us. You're just a weed smoking, chicken eating, watermelon eating, gun toting, gang erupting minority known as a black man. And that type of people will never be meant to be part of the Spider Crew. Never! You really think I'm gonna listen to you, George Lopez? And you really think I'm gonna listen to Black Panther? Okay, Speedy Gonzalez. Alright, 12 Years a Slave. Okay, Bad Bunny. Okay, J Balvin. Okay, Dylan Brooks. Okay, John Morant. Okay, I understand the whole John Morant thing, because apparently all blacks shoot guns, but come on, don't call me Dylan Brooks, man. I'm not that fucking terrible. He's over here playing in the Wong Dong Tigers. What the fuck? Okay, you're right. I may have been a bit too far, but you're still a baboon coon, and you'll never be part of one of us, man. Don't you got some watermelon to eat anyway? Don't you got something else to take up your time? And don't you have a daughter you have to save? What about that daughter, huh? What about her? Oiga, no, socio, ya no me voy a escuchar ese negrito hablando, amigo, así. Alright, Mr. Negrito Morales, you may have got me there with my daughter, but there's a bigger picture. No little baby, huh? Ain't that something you're supposed to know, huh? That Negro music, that black music, it's something that you haven't seen yet. Let's just say your father is about to go leave with the milk. Wait, what's wrong? Wait, what's gonna happen with my dad? Miguel, mi hermano, mi primo, please, like, I'm sorry about everything I said, please, I just need you to tell me what's going on with my dad, like, bro, like, please, he's gonna be promoted to captain, like, come on, please, just tell me, like, wait, stop, please. Alright, well, that was a rather intriguing skit for those who peeped it. I appreciate y'all, but if y'all skip through, I'm gonna continue on with the rest of the plot, and that segues perfect to the plot, though. So basically, at the end of that skit, I'm basically saying how Miles ends up finding out that his dad is going to be killed in a canon event. And a canon event is an event that must take place for the story to continue. Obviously, for those who are into anime or just people who are into storytelling, you guys know what a canon event is. So basically, Miles ends up finding out, and then he's trying to get back to his own universe to try to stop that shit from happening. However, he ends up going into the wrong universe where he was meant to be the Prowler instead of Spider-Man. And the whole movie just ends on a cliffhanger as Gwen in 2099 try to find and subdue Miles. Well, Miles is in the scenario where it's like, oh shit. He's like confused. He's flabbergasted. He's like so in shock of the fact that he was meant to be the Prowler. He's just shocked as fuck, and I don't blame him. But in this scenario, you have two people trying to search and find him. You have Gwen, his potential love interest, trying to find her and just help him out in the fight against the Spot, right? And then you got 2099 who's trying to find him to subdue him and stop him from changing the parallel of the timelines type shit, right? And I can respect that, and I can definitely agree with it. But I don't know, bro. This plot, it makes sense, but ooh, this plot is crazy, man. Plot is valid though. I give the plot a solid 8.5 out of 10 type shit. Okay, now we're gonna talk about my favorite scenes from this film, and ooh, I got some pretty good scenes. Well, number one, I gotta talk about the appearance of Lego Spider-Man. That's my dog. That's my gang, man. When the Spot was over here trying to find these different portals, and they showed his universe, I already knew it was gonna be a banger. And then when 2099's calling up Lego Spider-Man's beep beep. I just finished up. I subdued the target. Oh, thank you. You're one of our best. Beep, beep. He just hangs up. Bro, I could just imagine his canon event, bro. I can imagine some shit was bang, bang, beep, beep, ooh! And then Lego Spider-Man goes, he's like, oh my god, Uncle Ben's dead, oh shit. It's just fucking ridiculous, man. Obviously, up next, I gotta talk about the power-up of this man's Spot. When he goes into the collider and then he gets all these powers, and then he shows the future, what's gonna happen. It's you took everything from me, I'm gonna take everything from you. Oh my god, this dude a fucking demon, bro. He's on demon time times 10 type shit, bro. Alright, next thing I gotta talk about is the whole explanation of what the canon event is. When they were showing all of the Uncle Bens dying from the Spider-Verse, I was already tripping as it was. But then when Miles was hey, yo, so you're telling me if it was your Uncle Ben, you wouldn't have stopped him? And then they're showing the Uncle Bens from Spectacular Spider-Man. They're showing the Uncle Bens from Toby and Andrew's universe. I'm oh shit. I'm literally tripping, bro. I'm over here going insane about that. So that was tough. And then the chase sequences of 2099 and Miles. Bro, when they're going through, the building where all the Spider-Men were, and then they transition into, these little, closed, cut off spaces, and then they're all the way in the open, and then when he chases him down on, the train thing that's going up, and he grabs him by his throat, and he's over here telling him, you weren't meant to be one of us, that spider was not meant to bite you, you're meant to be something else, and, all this shit, and then Miles is nah, hey, I'm gonna do my own thing. Fire. But the best part is obviously the freaking ending, bro. The fact that this man Miles is staring at himself from another dimension where he was meant to be the Prowler, and then it ends off on a lame ass it ends off on a cliffhanger. I mean, I know the next movie's dropping in a few months, but what the fuck. But all in all, those scenes were those are the hitter scenes right there. Well, not the Lego one, But everything else is just a hater, 110% hater. And the last thing I'm going to cover before I give my final review, I'm going to cover character/development. We got to talk about the main protagonist of the film. Got to talk about Mr. Miles Morales. He's extremely improved upon in this film as not only is he getting more screen time, but he's also interacting with not only other characters but new ones as well. We can see him in like other environments where he's still trying to be himself. You're obviously seeing the improvement of this character from the first one, like with the more experience, the more confidence that he is in himself. But he's still interacting with more Spider-Man, which is always going to be valid. That's the point of Spider-Verse movies. Miles Morales interacting with other Spider-Man, so you already knew that was going to be valid. Then we got the other protagonist. You got Gwen Stacy. She's getting more of an important role in this film as we're getting to get into a look of her backstory. We get to see what's going on with how her universe's Peter died and her relationship like with her father. And we get to see how she has to cope with the fact that her dad knows that she's Spider-Man type shit. And that's lit. And then, can I really call him an antagonist? You know what? I'm going to call him an antagonist. Miguel O'Hara, a.k.a. 2099, has to be the best antagonist of this film alongside the Spot. Both of them are lit. But both men, they have this clear objective in subduing Miles, but it's for their own reasons, right? So 2099 obviously wants to stop him from interfering with the canon event of him trying to go stop his dad from dying and all that yada 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 bullshit. Meanwhile, the Spot wants to stop him because he views Miles as like this, you are my biggest op. Like, you caused me to be who I am, and I'm sick and tired of you viewing me as like a villain of the week type shit. And I like that. There's two clear antagonists of this film, and they both share something in common. They want to stop Spider-Man for their own personal reason. But let me quickly talk about Miles one more time. Miles wants to stop the cycle from continuing. Who's to say that this is how my story has to be? I have to lose so-and-so. I have to lose this. And I can understand why he wants to break the cycle, but I can look at it from the perspective of Miguel O'Hara, because you don't want to interrupt the canon events, because he did the same thing. He, in his universe or whatever, he dies and he had a daughter, so he took the place of the one that died and he ended up having a daughter, but since he did it, he corrupted the timeline and his entire universe, including his daughter, passed. So I can see why he wants to stop him. But I can also see it from the perspective of the Spot. As goofy looking as he is, as weird of a villain as he looks, as much of a crackhead from New York he looks like, I can understand his perspective too. I can understand his goals. I can understand his motives. He's sick and tired of being treated like a sack of shit. And because of Miles Morales throwing a fucking bagel at him, I know that's a bit ridiculous. He lost his wife. He lost his job. He lost all his friends. His family won't even look at him. So I can say all the characters, they're all valid. They all make sense. I love the antagonists as much as I love the protagonists. So I gotta say the characters and the developments of said characters is valid. It's good spacing, good pacing, and it works. And now my final review. I'm not gonna lie, this film is phenomenal and is light years beyond better than the Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse type shit, right? It blows it out the water. I understand it is valid. However, obviously, I'm not going to call this the best Spider-Man film of all time. That's going to stick with No Way Home now. No Way Home took the spot. I'm not going to lie. It's like No Way Home, Spider-Man 2. I'd say 1. Andrew Garfield's first Spider-Man movie. And then the second one. And then like it just keeps on going from there. But this is phenomenal. It's a valid film. I'd say everyone should go ahead and watch this at least once. Perfect storytelling, perfect animation. It just works out completely. You can feel what the antagonist is doing. Soundtrack's phenomenal. It just makes you can feel for what both sides are saying. You understand the quickness. You understand like what's going on with the mental aspect of both Spider-Man when it comes to 29 and Miles Morales. Miles Morales wants to change the future. He wants to change what canon events said have to be done. And 2099 wants to follow the rules so no other further universes can be destroyed. All I'm going to say is, this is a 9.5 out of 10. I would only give it a 10 if the ending wasn't so shitty. But with all that being said, thank you guys for coming through. Thanks for listening to the entire video. If you guys peep both spoiler-free and the spoiler version. If you guys only peep the first one or the second one, I appreciate you regardless. I appreciate everyone who comes through to the channel, man. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Always helps the channel out. If y'all made all the way through the end of the video, comment down below comment down below W Spider-Man review. And with all that being said, Sentinel H, never lose hope. And I'm going to see y'all in the next one. Peace.